But we've got about like 37 minutes left in the stream, so I think that's
Exactly.
a good
Wow.
a good moment to get to our second topic, which is
Boxers or
how
briefs for women.
how non-menswear interests influence your style. And that's been who was it? Was it Kiyoshi? Was that you who brought that one up, or
I did not bring up that topic.
oh, R.I.P. You
I
could have
had a
taken the credit.
response, but I didn't.
R.I.P.
bring up the
Kiyoshi.
topic.
Yeah,
I'd love if
R.I.P.
someone talked about it because I don't think I could wrap my head around it. I've like read it like
I
5
need
times.
someone to take the lead.
Yeah, let me scroll back up through the topics right. And again, we are getting this
Yeah, my love for
from
hentai has really.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Jesus.
Wait, is Nagatoro
You're a
saying here,
hentai
or-
kind of guy.
I'm hentai kind of guy.
Anti-state of mind.
You got the shirt. I like that.
Can we write the parody? Can we write the parody of Empire's State of Mind called Hentai State of Mind?
If that
Oh,
hasn't
yeah.
been done, we must do it right
Yeah.
now.
It was Komodo Joe.
Oh yeah, so we got Marco. Marco says, I think it would be interesting if y'all talked about your hobbies and interests outside of menswear and how they inform your style choices. And I think that again, he's not here. But I, if I don't want to like mold his question, I think it's more so like, so Marco is an avid motorcyclist, and he rides like every weekend, up and down the coast of PCH or whatever.
Yeah, what's that
And
feel like?
even though he has a very, you guys see he wears like a lot of Bodhi, a lot of Capital, a lot of, in the past, a lot of EG and weird stuff. So kind of fun, like Japanese designer, kind of heritage adjacent kind of look. But because he's riding a bike, he had to get like a riding jacket, to stay cool, or just keep insulated while he's riding, and then some like engineer boots so he could ride. And it kind of when he hangs out with the other riders, obviously some of the other guys, they're not menswear guys or they're not fashion guys, but they happen to be wearing
Oh, we
leather
just got
jackets and
another.
boots.
We just got another follower. Thank you, Lost
my
Crusader 7.
Thank you, Lost
Thank
Crusader
you.
7. What's going on?
So that kind of influences his style. And so you can see that a little bit now, where he incorporates his engineer boots with regular outfits. He wears his double rider with other types of outfits. So it influences that. So I think he's asking if any of us have been on that same kind of vein. And I had some thoughts about this. I know Kiyoshi had some. Actually, Kiyoshi, why don't you talk us through your response to it? Because you had a long response. Go ahead.
Yeah, so there's definitely interest I've had. I think like probably the cliche ones. I think we find talk about the cliche ones a little bit too. But it's always like, oh, if you're into tailored clothing, you're probably into cigars and drinking rare bourbons and whiskeys and
Campari.
I don't
yeah,
even
and like
drink.
driving cool cars. It's like,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Getting
no,
helicoptered
can't
to
drive.
the field.
Land Rovers.
Or read, but that's separate.
or helicopters for that matter.
Yeah, helicopter hunting trips, exactly.
But the only thing I really like to do is drink. So, but I'm, that's not really, I think, anything that informs anything about my style at all.
Do you have the globe that opens that is the decanter?
I do not. I do not.
Damn it.
Just taking swigs from the bottle.
Yeah,
Perfect.
As you should.
I think you're an
Do you have it in a brown paper bag?
Yeah, this is gonna turn into an intervention.
Why bother with the back? Why bother with the back?
Kiyoshi, surprise.
I must say, this would be a great highlight if this turned into a Kiyoshi intervention.
This is why we chose this topic. We knew what he
We're gonna get more
it.
followers as we help you.
It's never too late to turn your life around, right?
That's right.
But
Twitch.
no, just
Never too late
as
for
someone
now.
who hasn't hit rock bottom yet with that, my interests probably more so happened after I got into clothing. So one of the main
before
ones
clothing,
is
you had no
visiting-
interest at all.
It was
He
nothing
was
that
a
was
blank
so
person. Yeah.
Yeah. I
What
was
could
just, I, was
fill
just, I hadn't been programmed yet, so no. But like I've been more and more interested and had a growing interest in art, in galleries, visiting galleries and museums, and that kind of came with my job where I could visit different cities and then having something to do. I was like, well, going to art museums are always pretty cheap. Galleries are usually free to walk into at any time. And that just became like a growing kind of hobby or interest of mine. So, and going to those, especially seeing how people dress in galleries, like people that work there, or going to some like art Basel or the local Expo Chicago here, these giant like modern contemporary shows. It's just interesting to see how people dress in this world, in this industry, and that has definitely led to me be more interested in wearing more monochromatic and looser, more drapey fits, like wide leg pants on the casual side, and that kind of influenced my style outside of tailoring. Because before it was very, I think my interest in clothing was very hardcore on like the tailoring side, and then a little bit of like the workwear, like denim head kind of thing. But this kind of opened me up to things outside of those realms. So I think that was probably the main thing. Other than that, back when we could go to bars and music, see live music, I'm not going to wear tailoring to that, and
Why not?
not really.
Why not?
It's I don't want to fuck up my suits in a pit, you know.
In the pit.
In a pit.
So
You
yeah,
mosh
yeah,
every time.
that was a lot of that kind of got me like buying like leather jackets and
Yeah.
like some military stuff and
Wife.
some jeans and boots. You can kind of
My
you're
wife.
totally okay with getting it messed up.
My wife.
Yeah,
Is
So
that makes sense.
Take it to the pit.
Kind of combining it because so my thing, and I think that maybe I can speak for, a little bit for MJ as well, is that our interests don't really have style mixed in with
Or
it.
direction.
That could be because we're younger. We don't really. I mean, we don't really drink if at all anyway, so we don't really go to bars. But so like we don't really have that kind of like a thing where you're influenced by dress. Because if we were, I really don't think that going to a local church Super Smash tournament is the place to get a lot of inspiration for outfits.
Definitely is.
Or going
I mean,
to
look
like
at all
yeah
those
your
trophies.
yeah. Oh god. Well, no, it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not even just that. Because I mean, I think that a lot of people our age, I think, don't really have the people that we hang out with don't really have like fashion incorporated into anything that they're doing. Maybe cosplay, but that's still kind of like a very special occasion. So for me, as a guy who had a lot of friends who were gamers who played card games and everything, there wasn't fashion is just basically whatever you wanted to wear. So that's why I got into it, because I just like the clothing. Like I didn't even like vintage. Like I don't like old movies. I don't really, I didn't swing dance. I don't really listen to jazz that often. So like it was very weird.
I don't
It was very weird for people in that community to be like, oh, why are you coming to these events? I'm like, oh, I like just the clothing. I want to be around people who are wearing suits because I think it's kind of fun. But like it's so weird for them. But like to me, it's like it's always been very distinct. But as we talked about it more and seeing Kiyoshi's response, I got to change my answer a little bit because I think that as you get older, you have more time, you start working, you have more things to do, you start to kind of get into other hobbies that maybe you haven't done before. And yeah, for me, like getting into music, right, and getting into like fully getting into like alt and indie bands and everything. There's definitely an aesthetic that goes along with it, like especially on TikTok, like alt indie kids. But like of course, I want to signal these things about me. Like Kyoshi, in your response, you said that you talk about like like the fitting in mentality, like like in your childhood. I think that definitely applies here, and to kind of signal that thing about me. You know, it's about kind of changing the style. So I would say, me embracing more wide leg fits, getting into rugged stuff. Yeah, that kind of comes with, expanding my inspiration from style, looking at workwear, military stuff, looking at other people in MFA, but it definitely is a part of like my hobby of like, yeah, getting into these bands and everything. And then of course also like art museums, I paint in my free time. And so it's like, oh, okay, how do I signify that also? Because like a lot of people assume things about suits as we've talked about, and finding a way to make tailoring look indie alt more artistic, that was kind of a big deal for me. I mean, it didn't happen all recently, it kind of happened over time. As I'm sure MJ and Spencer, or maybe the rest of you guys have watched and seen it happen to me, as I grow out my hair and and get a beard and everything. But yeah, I also will say though that being into menswear and opening up my mind to like, not being just into skinny #menswear suits or just being pure accurate, that led me to develop more hobbies. I think I needed to get into menswear first for me to develop interest in other things. It sounds weird, but I mean, before that, like, yeah, I had video games, I had composing music, but those are all very like insular activities. You don't really get a lot of inspiration
Yeah,
from it.
solo
So
activities. So menswear was
yeah,
the first. Yeah, menswear was the first group thing you were part of. Is that what? Is that?
exactly. Yeah. So like, if I didn't get into menswear, I probably would have still dressed the same way I did before. We don't want that at
Yeah.
all. Um,
Right.
but yeah, that's kind of how non-menswear stuff influenced me. It's not that much, or maybe I don't recognize it as much as some other people. But yeah. So why don't we go? Let's go through alphabetically after. So Aldris, do you have any other influences besides menswear that kind of inform how you dress? Or I
Well,
would even say that being a student could probably be a factor as well.
Yeah. Couple of things. I guess as a student, I've kind of grown used to having a jacket that I can keep on at all times indoors, so I can
Okay.
keep stuff in my pockets, pens,
Yeah.
pencils, small books, and that sort of thing.
Practical.
I
Yeah,
am right there with you.
yeah,
That's why I
rubbers.
like. That's why I wear jackets almost all the time because I like having
Yeah.
lots of pockets.
Yeah. But beyond that, we talked about earlier about how there's a sort of stereotype of a menswear guy, a guy who likes jazz and cigars and sort of gets into that way. Much to my chagrin, I think I'm probably the closest guy here to that stereotype. Because
Well,
and
Hal's not here, so
who's not
So
here?
you got it.
no. Hal. When we hung out with Hal, he brought out some cigars for us. It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
But I mean,
don't
I'm just
know
saying,
Hal's
you know.
backstory, honestly, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I mentioned this during the podcast episode I was in, talking about the personal
Like
uniform.
3 years ago.
3 years ago, yeah, callback.
Man,
Yeah, because I started with old films, Fred Astaire and White Tie, and that was my gateway into all this. My attempts to put together a white tie rig, and from that I kind of gone to suits and sport coats and etc. and it sort of grew from there. So I guess that's always sort of influenced my style. I'm trying to branch out, but I think at my core, I think my heart's still, a big man swing
Art
jazz.
will go on.
Yeah, my heart will go on with Benny Goodman and Glenn Miller and Tommy Dorsey and that
And
I
sort
wish
of.
Benny Goodman had
The
covered
rest.
"My Heart Will Go On." I'd like to know what that would sound like.
Yeah, if only he'd made it. Like, when did he die? Like 81 or something? Just
Yeah, he
16
just
more
need to
years.
make it. Yeah, like 20 years. Then he could have released it.
Yeah, if he was like Artie Shaw, who I think made it to what 04 or something. Then yeah,
Did he?
like
I didn't know that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Artie Shaw died in 04, and his son's a tattooist of some renown.
Damn. Okay.
Interesting fact.
That's kind of cool.
Sort of. But my my hobbies, namely my interest in jazz and all the forms of music from the mid 20th century and that sort of thing. I also tried my hand at swing dancing. Actually, I was really into it for about a year.
Whoa.
Okay.
And yeah, and probably forgotten all the steps by now, but anyway,
it's like riding a bike.
yeah, but I guess my point is my interest did sort of influence me into influence my style to the way it sort of is now, which is more stiffer and more vintage than what you guys are doing, but not properly vintage. I'm trying to move away from that, and I think I think the place where I am now, where my style still depends on a lot of sport coats and tailored jackets, but isn't paired with like spear point shirts and pin collars all the time, is that's a place where I kind of like to be. And yeah, the reason why I wear more tailored jackets is because of the hobbies I had, skewing a bit older, a bit more outdated, if you will, I guess.
Interesting. Yeah, because I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, like, it's fun when people talk about, I don't know. I mean, I wear spear point collars. I always feel like I'm bringing in like the weird stuff, in my everyday wear. But yeah, cool. Jason, what about you? How I know that you wear graphic T-shirts because the bands and the artists that you follow. So, what about your non-menswear interests influencing your style?
Well, I mean, as all of you guys know, I'm a huge fan of like punk rock, and to the point where it's like weird to say in a normal setting. But Yeah, as you guys know, huge fan of like punk rock, and that has influenced a lot. Because obviously, I don't dress like the punks did of like the '70s and '80s, but I've tried to figure out and try to find ways to take that aspect, that way of thinking, and add it to the tailoring that I make and that I wear. So it's like, how can I make this tailoring like punk, but not it be like, oh, I ripped off a sleeve, you know?
Right.
But make it, because make it contextualize in the way that, the punk, punk of, the '70s and '80s is like popular to look like that right now. And it's, grown in popularity ever since. So it's like,
Right.
okay, well, now how do you take that idea and apply it to what would be like a new punk frontier? If everyone's dressing like they did, then obviously it's no longer a punk thing. So how do we take that? How do we move forward? Because that super influences me a lot. It's just listening to the music and seeing how, like Joe Strummer wore a lot of suits. He's the front man of the Clash, and he wore a lot of suits, and you can see that. It's like, okay, what was he wearing? How was he doing it to, at a time where everyone was wearing, safety pins in their lips.
Mm.
And I also, at the same time with punk, I listen to a lot of like super poppy music. Like that T-shirt I was wearing in the Real Men Real Style is a Dua Lipa T-shirt.
Yeah.
A big Dua Lipa fan, or big, Carly Rae
MJ, play
Jepsen.
new rules.
Yeah. Big, Carly Rae Jepsen, Taylor Swift, and so I wear a lot of that merch too, and it has definitely, how influenced the way I dress, because it's like, I'm putting myself. I started super getting into like, the tattoos and stuff like that, and that's obviously influenced the way I look. Not only do I have like those tattoos on my hands, but I have a few on my arms now.
Yeah, you have been
I've
going
always,
pretty all in on that.
yeah, and I have some more coming up.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
There
and
you
so I'm
go.
super into like those kind of things. I mean, they're all sort of still in the realm of like artistic expression, which is basically what I've used, tailoring for. So I mean, it's definitely helped that way, obviously, because music is such an uh, easy way to have influence and things. I also play a lot of games, but I don't. That doesn't really come out that much in like tailoring, like
You should just
playing.
start wearing like the gamer T-shirts where it looks like you're wearing like Link's tunic or something.
Right, there we go.
Or
Or
how
those
about a
ones that
T-shirt?
say like homework, no,
Yeah.
video games,
Yes,
yes.
you should wear that.
I should.
Yeah. So like for the kind of like tailored punk look, like a little bit, I don't know, like cliche, I guess, but a guy who did that like so well, Glenn O'Brien in like the TV party days, like in the like late '70s and '80s. That like because he like it's like there's a picture that I have saved on my phone where he's wearing like I think it's like a Madras jacket with like the Westerner or whatever and sunglasses.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he pulls off like the like dark t-shirts under blazers with like New Balances and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's like
So it's like
the
it's
vibe.
a look that it's like you could do it, man.
Yeah, that's only if it's one of those things where it's kind of that has to be the next step, because obviously we
Mhm.
can't, if it's popular,
Yeah.
then it's not punk.
Exactly.
That's very true.
It's like the complete opposite. It becomes we become the very thing we sought to destroy.
Pop rock.
Yeah.
Right, pop rock, pop punk.
Yeah.
Pop. Oh, boy.
Nick, that shirt is great. Or sorry, Hazlitt.
Yeah, don't
that
call
shirt's-
him his real.
Sorry.
Oh, there
Good
you go.
lord.
Don't want you to get DOSed. I'm gonna buy that. I
Yeah.
need to get that right now.
They'll swat your house.
At a spot a
Good
gamer.
lord.
I'm gonna wear that
Um,
underneath a suit and then post it.
Can you imagine, by the way, if we got big enough on Twitch for someone to swat us? I forgot what the
God.
actual term is.
Which
No.
which one? Which one of us?
Knock
I'm
on
all
wood.
of us at the same time. They find us.
thank you.
They come to me at night.
Simultaneous strike.
Yeah.
Don't like will that into existence.
No, I know.
Yeah.
We're not that big.
Yeah.
Matt, what about you? I know you've got the music and you're studying and everything. What how does
Yeah,
that
I think
influence your mentor?
I've listened to everyone's answers, and frankly, they've been making a question. But I think I've figured out how I'm going to answer this question. I think with everything, it's based off of like context. So it's like I'm a little boring in that like a lot of my fashion comes from fashion influences directly. Like I wish I had like a movement, kind of like Jason was describing, where I
Wait,
could
like
like
the
yeah,
watch?
I wish.
Oh.
Well, I wish I had a Daniel Wellington.
Oh.
At least that's what just told me to get. But I think that honestly, it would be fun to have like a movement to tap into for my style. But truly, I probably get it more directly just from fashion. But having said that, I think it's based. What I'm able to do with it is like because I have sort of the two things I kind of hinted at this in the chat, where it's like yeah, I perform, so I need to wear like tailoring, but instead of wearing some horrible performance thing that people don't know what they're doing, I can wear like a Ivy look, like a soft tailoring, and like OCBDs and knit ties and make it my own, but still put it in that context. So I'm still technically dressed up, but I'm not like wearing a worsted suit with a spread collar, white shirts, and a tie clip and skinny. You know what I mean? I'm able to bring my actual style to it and not just fake out for this performance opportunity. But having said that, this wasn't so much on the casual side. It wasn't so much in the music department, but my theater department. You, as like an acting major, you really like most of the time needed to dress for movement, be it for class,
MDMP.
for again, it's we all wear those watches, and
Thanks
if
for
we don't wear the
sponsoring.
watches, we gotta get out. Yeah, thank you, by the way. We appreciate it. All our new followers are tied to this brand. But we had to wear sweats. I watched an interview with Gillian Jacobs talk about her experience at Juilliard, where it's like, yeah, the teacher forced them to wear sweatpants every day, and I kind of get it a little bit because it's like you had to be like free, both for just like the movement classes, but also for rehearsals in the evening, just not getting away. So that's almost a vibe in and of itself, just sort of like more casualization.
So, like
but
skinny
with-
jeans
with the-
to like dance rehearsals.
Guys, I don't know what jeans these were, but like I did a production of West Side Story in the stiffest this I don't know if it was selvage, but it was like it was just so fucking stiff. There was
Yeah.
and that was my fault. I just brought jeans from home, but there was no stretch whatsoever. And it's not like they were skinny; they were like a little bit wider, but just so fucking barely worn.
I mean, it's like that's kind of method because that's what you really would be doing if you were in a singing gang in the 50s.
True enough,
That's right.
You'd be wearing those jeans.
it probably would have helped to have a little more fight direction and not just improv it, where we're almost
Yeah.
hurting each other in these garments.
It would be.
Yeah.
I think it's like if you got too close to like hurting people, you could back up and just start snapping, and then it'll kind of like
It works out. There's enough shit on the stage.
Time for a verse.
Yeah.
Yes. Luckily, the worst that ever happened was self-inflicted. I think my own thumbnail got like kind of by my face, not anywhere by my eyes, but it was really bad. Like the fight director was just like, "All right, you go off with your partner, figure it out," and like we expect you to check back in. It was a big production, but it was like community, whatever. But anyway, I think both within the classical realm of when I have to perform, but also sort of the everyday looks, I'm able to decontextualize. So I'm not just wearing what everyone's wearing, like sweatpants and a t-shirt. I'm able to do it my way, where it's a little more interesting, like a higher rise sweatpants, and they're tucked in, and interesting layering pieces. And yeah, I think it's just reframing how I wear these things. So it is interesting. Like it's slightly different. Oh, it's not like a low-rise pant, So I mean, with my details and having an opinion and things I actually like, and not just buying things because I'm a mindless sheep.
One thing that I've thought about though, Maz, is that your field of study does, unlike us, require formal wear, or at least pointing in that direction. And
yeah, I know business people,
yeah.
they have to get the suit, but like I don't think they give a shit. They're just go to Macy's or whatever. And like I don't think that in undergrad certainly we've ever gotten huge direction from that.
No.
But it's
as
just
you progress, there'll be more and more of a need, I think, and that will be one rather specific style influence, I guess.
yeah.
Need for black tie.
Yes, and certainly, and someday I'll get it. Someday I'll get white tie because I will need it at some point.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm
okay.
still debating: do I do the starched collar? Go for it. Like that's the
I think
big
you
thing
should.
in my
I
brain.
think
I know.
I personally
that's
think you should.
my
Because
favorite tenor, Ian
yeah,
Bostridge.
I
He
think
does it.
because I think my opinion is like if you're gonna be wearing a wing collar, I think it should be tall. I think it should be
That's
like
true.
a proper wing collar.
You're gonna have to get one of those that
Make
are
it
really open
fly.
at the front.
Give it a
yeah.
Red Bull.
And
Yeah,
and
maybe-
pedagogically speaking, really things like shirt collars shouldn't be getting in the way of singing. Truly.
Yeah, just
If
one
you-
of those wing collars
if-
that's really open at the front.
Yeah,
sort of versus style,
but
yeah.
no,
Wing,
I
but
agree.
really open, yeah.
Very open. But
Yeah,
I think there's
The most
there's-
open.
in the classical music community. I don't, and especially in like school, like there's not a huge emphasis of like, like people rent their tuxedos or like they don't care, they just get something, and then that's what you see. People are wearing horrible tailoring, but they don't care. They're focused on the craft. But I'm interested in these things, so that's what I do. So yeah, it's. Yeah, I want to look good. So that's sort of what I do. I am able to take these interests I have and make a frame of different contexts, playing by the rules. I'm wearing suits for when I need to. I'm wearing my casual stuff when I need to for movement, but I'm still able to do it my way.
Frank Sinatra.
I hope that somewhat answers the question. Oh yes, Sinatra.
Yeah.
Jeremy asked about philosophy kids, which is a pity because John's not here, and he's
Yeah.
philosophy, right? Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I wonder if he was. Yeah, well, philosophy because if he was inspired by the academic.
Well, we'll have John write something in.
I will say very
I'll message you all.
specifically, I am not a
Mhm.
philosophy kid. I hated academia. I hated studying, hated
Little Witch Academia.
having to read things, having to write essays. So.
Oh, just the work or like the culture? I don't know what the
everything
culture
about
would
it.
be.
Everything about. I mean, the people were nice, but I just
Yeah.
had no. I was like a student newspaper kid, so
Yeah.
Sure.
I wanted to bang out 300 words, do a quick interview, be done with my day, move on to the next article.
No, I'm a horrible student. I'm shit at like doing things
Horrible
of not of
student,
my
first
accord.
time caller.
This is my first call. Happy to be here. Happy to be on mic. No, but yeah, I'm pretty shit too.
I do think
In
general.
academics look cool.
Yeah.
Academics can look pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's a fun
think so. I mean,
I mean, it's like
you know.
it's just the nonchalance,
Well,
which is
yeah,
the
I would-
cool part.
Yeah, we have a little bit of time left, so I want to go through MJ and then Spencer afterwards. MJ, how do your is it? I mean,
I
is it
mean,
like me.
if we're staying in, I guess our
Interest,
schooling, yeah, because that's what seems like what a lot of people talk about right now. Rather than getting inspiration, it's more like what I don't want to look like. I mean, right? 'Cause- So
Anti-inspiration.
yeah, so
Very true.
You know, small background. My major is computer information systems. So
Yeah.
you know
Nerd.
that the IT crowd, right? So
Oh, what a
that,
great show.
Hey guys.
that already
Hey
gives you
guys.
an idea.
Oh
what?
yeah.
I don't want to end up like. So I just got new glasses. So these are my old glasses, right? And I look like
Sure.
you know, I look like my IT professors.
Yeah, didn't you say like you saw you saw him wear those? You're like, that's
yeah,
it. I
and
can't.
I'm
do
like,
it."
I'm like, I just this
Gotta
just
grab a
makes me
V8.
become, you know, a computer science professor. But so I did get these after looking around iBuy Direct. So I'm cooler now.
You're cooler now.
Yeah, and I mean it's also like, okay, when you've been in school for like 5 years and all your classes have guys, you know, year-round cargo shorts and like a Deadpool t-shirt, it's
Nice. That's the look.
it's
That
ki-
must, you know,
kind
you
of
know they're happier than us.
maybe, but
Ignorance is bliss. I
but
mean,
they may be happier, but I'm cooler, so I don't know who's the winner
true.
there.
That's
I'd
true.
rather
Yeah,
be
let's-
unhappy.
Would you rather be
Yeah, I'd
cool and
rather be
depressed?
anxious as hell.
Yeah,
But
We're just
cool.
dumb and
Cool
happy.
as hell.
yeah.
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 So there's
Okay,
my
that-
small piece.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thing too. I think like as Spencer and I have shared a little bit. We did a composer style info album, which I'm sure I'll write an essay on in the future. But they're not dressed too good. And so I don't want to look like, I especially don't want to look like Michael Giacchino. I mean, there's a lot of things I have a problem with that guy, but I don't want to. I don't want to dress
Hey,
like
it's a friend
like
of a
him
friend
either.
of mine.
You know, at least John Williams wears like he rocks the whole Steve Jobs like the turtleneck all the time kind of a thing. You know. But
You
yeah,
think
no,
This
he
is
it's,
sort of
avoids
adjacent,
turtlenecks?
but I feel like with like classical music people, there's this weird thing with tailoring. Like they have like dark paisley suits, like
Oh
really,
yeah,
and
like
like
weird,
there's
like
yeah,
regal or
weird
kind of like
recital
dandy
wear. Like they
touches.
do frock. They
yeah.
have like
Guys-
frock
guys-
length coats.
Or they're wearing a fucking like TARDIS dress and they're dressed like the
Yeah.
Doctor. You know, it's like
just-
it's like one or the
what
other.
are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what it is then, eh? Because John Critter, the infamous guy from the Face.
You didn't have to say
Oh.
his name.
R.I.P.
He doesn't watch
He
this.
died, by the way.
No,
You didn't have to say it.
but no, it's the Paisley style. I'm not roasting. I'm just saying it's the Paisley
I'm
guy.
just saying.
The Paisley style.
No,
that,
but yeah, it's that
yeah.
style. Yeah,
Yeah.
but like in
Yeah,
like these
no, I
sober
get it.
tones, it's so weird. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay. Spencer, what about you?
So speaking, I guess I'll start with just like academic stuff. So my classmates,
All a bunch of nerds.
so I'm a journalism major, and like my classes are either with people like print journalists or like advertising, broadcast, PR people, and print journalists generally like don't really care how they look. Most print journalists don't like dress very well.
Accurate.
Broadcast, like all the broadcast like journalism majors, PR and advertising majors all dress like, just like business casual stuff.
TV anchors. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The only like quote unquote like inspiration I get from being a journalism major is like looking at like, either like, war journalists in the 60s and 70s and stuff like that, or, like
Are you gonna go to war in journalism?
weirdo like gonzo or subversive journalists in the 20th century, or even like
Gonzo, from the Muppets?
yeah,
Like the
exactly.
bean.
Yeah. But there's also like, I guess like older like or more middle-aged print journalists, like there's kind of like a more like on the field business casual
Play ball.
style that they have, that's like, just like button ups and chinos, but with a lot more like, they have like a bunch of bags or a bunch of pens in their pockets, and like, but I think that attitude of just being very practical is kind of cool.
I think business casual is the worst thing in the world. Like I hate it.
Oh, that's
so
another
much.
thing too. Yeah, for me as a accounting
of the
student, not every accounting student was like dressed like an IT guy, because obviously those are two related things in terms of mentality.
Yes.
But like, yeah, I mean, of course there were like the business club kids who would like fucking, like, the navy suit with tan shoes, or like even like the fucking like fleece vest every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like
So-
some family's son at an apple orchard was wearing like a blue OCBD untucked with like beige shorts, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Just like
Love
I
that
just
vibe,
hate.
though.
I'm not, but it was like that bit. There's like a Peter Manning. I almost felt like Peter Manning, or like these untucked brands. Like it's just like come
Yeah.
on, man.
I guess my other like big hobby, and it's like, because menswear is I think my only like social hobby that I have. Everything else is like, like kind of like Ethan, a little bit more insular, I guess. But I'm a movie guy. I like watching movies, and I think unlike Ethan, because he said he never really looks at the clothes in movies, it's not like the main thing that I'm looking at, but I'm always like, I don't know, like noticing stuff. I just look at clothes in real life too.
Well, in terms of for the movie thing, I just want to say, like, I think I mean, it might just be like how I process things, but I will get more from a behind the scenes still photograph than watching the movie itself.
I mean, me too, but it's like I like looking at it, like, and trying to, and if something catches my eye, then I'll see if I can find stills or whatever afterwards. But I do tend to get a lot of like style ideas from like movies that I watch, and if it's not even like replicating exact outfits, it's like, okay, what's this movie that I'm, like I just watched, or I'm, interested in right now? What's the vibe of that, and how do I emulate that vibe?
Trying to emulate the vibe, yeah.
Yeah,
Similar-
exactly.
yeah.
This isn't a hard fast rule, but I feel like I can gauge my interest in movies based on am I actually enjoying the movie, am I looking at their acting, or am I looking at their clothes, and in that order.
Yeah.
If I was just I like this outfit, then I'm just like checked out.
I just
Yeah.
go,
That's
is
not a hard
Adam
fast
Sandler making me laugh? And it's always yes.
And they're
Well, no,
belly
because-
laughs.
God.
Yeah, I mean, I always like looking at the costumes and sets on movies. Just
I
all the,
only
like,
watch Adam Sandler movies, so
This is
there you
canon.
go.
I think all the black
How's
and
Hubie
white-
Halloween? You seen that one?
no, I haven't yet.
No.
Okay. Hubie Halloween
Oh,
watch. It's coming.
Boy. Oh yeah, we'll stream that. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
But yeah, it's like I think yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was
But-
gonna say I think that's a good way to finish on, because I think that we could always talk about like our taste in music and art or whatever, and variations there, but I think that being into menswear kind of lets, like, as a result of that, you just open your mind more to getting inspiration from anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like lots of guys out there will, like, they'll dress like a painting, right? Like they'll pick up some of the colors there, or they'll dress like you said, like they'll dress like the vibes from a movie.
Mhm.
And I think that, again, being into classic menswear kind of allows you the freedom to kind of do that. I think that streetwear has that in spades too, but I think that, because of like the longevity of classic menswear, and like the fact that a lot of, like all the classic stuff, like, mid-century, looking at whether it's the architecture or the architects themselves, there's a lot of places to get inspiration from. So that's why whenever someone asks me, oh, how does your music taste influence? I'm like, not really. But
How
then when I
does your
think about it,
music
it's like,
taste?
no, like I think that I
Mhm.
actively look for menswear in those
nutritious.
things. I don't think it goes. I think it's just menswear puts me on like the path to finding the inspiration everywhere else, as opposed to like serendipitously, like, oh, that's a cool color, I'll put that in there.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that happens, when you have like a wider mind in
A wider
menswear.
mind.
A wider mind.
And
My mind is so thick.
yeah, because I think that if you're very insular, like I think that, like, if you're Ivy, like, and you only wear Ivy stuff, you won't have that eye, But if you're able to take inspiration from as many places as possible and recontextualize it to a place that makes sense for you, then and usually those people are the people we hang out with. We seldom hang out or talk to people who are very insular or have very specific menswear taste. So
Yeah,
We're gonna
we
like
talk-
shit that we
yeah,
can't
we talk
wear in
about
our
that.
lives. Like I can't wear stuff like Jimmy Stewart
Yeah.
wore,
I mean, I could maybe do it.
Well, I mean,
I
like
think
in
it's-
daily life,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Aldous, what were you saying?
Yeah, I think if you're enamored with the idea of fashion and that's your interest, you'll always evolve to kind of where we've gotten, which is an appreciation for all sorts of styles and not being one,
Right,
not wanting to
exactly.
pigeon ourselves in one place or the other. But yeah, guys who are strictly Ivy and always are strictly Ivy are more enamored with the idea of Ivy as opposed to the clothes themselves.
Yeah,
and
they
the
want
clothes
to be in a
that mean-
specific place and
Yeah.
time. With
Yeah,
those
the
things,
clothes are
yeah.
means to the clothes are not the end; they're a means to their real ends, and for that,
Mhm.
I think that's the major philosophical difference. That means that we don't really get along with people like that, so we don't hang out a lot. It's just a difference in ethos, I think.
Yeah, no, well
Yeah.
said. I think that's something that it kind of characterizes this kind of this
Yeah.
disconnect between us and the people that we like or people that we are inspired by versus like the kind of the other side, the style form guys, real men, real style guys, all that kind
yeah,
of
far
thing.
side.
And one last thing I like to
Gary Larson.
yeah, one last thing I
back.
like to say about getting
He's black.
inspiration from movies and specifically
Yes.
older films is that in watching those, you get a sense of tailoring worn outside of a tailoring context. What you were saying earlier, even about business suits for business only, and they need to be proper and creaseless and perfect. I mean, I was at Uniqlo today, and the ad they were playing behind the counter was trousers now won't wrinkle after 8 hours of sitting down, so you can nail that
Sounds
interview.
awful.
Yeah, I saw that and wanted to just punch something. It was
They would literally
Terrible.
burn up if you put a flame next to them.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
They
this,
would
this,
melt.
this internalized idea, this arbitrary but now internalized idea that wrinkles are bad, that wrinkles are a
So
sign of
dumb.
sloppiness.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another topic. With films, especially in watching older films, when tailoring it wasn't suit jackets, it was jackets, and people wore them for
Yep.
whatever, going to the ball game and that sort of thing. You get the idea that tailoring has a use and can be used beyond the business context, which I think is important for for us. Maybe we don't wear tailoring so much, but we like taking things out of their expected context and mixing and matching and appreciating the clothing for the style of it as opposed to just the utility of it, just as a means to fit a dress code or something.
Right.
So yeah, films important and useful because they don't put things in the box.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
boundaries are
exactly.
more blurred and
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
much wider box
You hear
with less
that,
defined
Jen? There's lots of
boundaries.
guys out
Yeah.
there for you. But no, I think it's totally, and I mean not just films too. I think in terms of people, like when we post pictures of like Ralph Lauren wearing something, I don't think any of us would wear it exactly the way he does it. I don't think I could. I don't think I could wear like a tuxedo jacket, with, like the full top half of black tie with like fucking cowboy boots and jeans, right? I don't think I could do that. But the idea of like, okay, maybe like a dark sport coat, kind of minimalistic with like cowboy boots, jeans and like a big belt. I think I can do that. It's all about, finding the ways that works for you. And hopefully it's my, again, my hope that guys see it the way you said it, all just, being able to remove the context and just see it as clothing and see it as
The
fashion, see
idea
it
that
as art.
tailoring is as fertile
Yeah.
a playground as streetwear is, because people seem to get mad, but yeah, it's all about it's all
Yeah,
about
man.
getting you to understand that you can be free and experiment in the street in
Right.
tailoring,
Right.
and it's not just the domain of streetwear. Anyway,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah. So I hope again, if you guys like that, you guys should share this video with everyone else, and hopefully they will assimilate to the Borg and join
The
us.
Borg.
Yeah, share this like 2 hour
share this
stream to everyone and tell them
Hit
you
the
have
like
to
and
watch.
As if it were a
watch this
2-minute
you have to
clip.
wait till the very
And hit
end
that
for
bell
an important
icon.
message.
That's right. Hit the bell icon.